Welcome to my channel. My name is Rhea, and in this video we are talking about Mahadashas in Vedic astrology. What is a Mahadasha? Right, but before we get into that, I do request you to hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so that you can be notified every time I post a video. So let's talk about Mahadasha and let's break this word down. Maha is like great or main, right? Maha. And then you have Dasha. Dasha is time period. So you have this main time period or great time period, literally translated from Mahadasha. That's what it means. It's this main time period. Main time period of what? Of a certain planet. Now you'll hear people saying in Vedic astrology, I'm running a Sun Mahadasha, I'm running a Venus Mahadasha, right? And that essentially means that they are running a time period, they are in a time period of a certain years that is dominated by the planet Sun or Venus or Rahu, which is the North Node, or Ketu, which is the South Node, or Mercury or Venus or Mars or the Moon, right? So essentially we have these Mahadashas, which are these main time periods, and we're all running a certain Mahadasha. So that's what a Mahadasha is. Now the second thing we want to keep in mind about Mahadasha is that a Mahadasha runs for years, right? It's not months, it's years. And the third thing we want to keep in mind is that every planet has a different number of years, right? For example, the Sun runs a Mahadasha of 6 years, Venus of 20 years, Mercury of 17 years, right? So each planet has a different length, the number of years it runs its Mahadasha. Now, each Mahadasha brings with it certain themes, right? Now, for example, the Mahadasha of Venus, right? Venus is the planet of love and beauty and luxury and comfort and all those things. So overall, these themes can be highlighted, but in Vedic astrology, a lot depends on where Venus is in your chart. What is your sign? Is Venus friendly to your sign or not? Right? What are the aspects that it's making? What is Venus's position in the divisional charts? All these things will then come together to give you, okay, is this a good time period? Is this a slightly stressful time period, right? It's not black and white that Venus Mahadasha, so XYZ is going to happen. No, a lot will depend on your chart, on the placement of Venus in your chart, on the placement of Venus in your divisional charts, on the aspects Venus is making, on Venus's strength, how strong is it in your chart, which sign it is in, a bunch of other things. Same goes for any other planet, right? So essentially, those 20 years of Venus Mahadasha will run one broad theme, right? And I often used to think that, okay, 20 years is a long time, right? I mean, it is a long time. And 20 years, the themes are not going to change. And I ran a Venus Mahadasha for 20 years, right? I got over my Venus Mahadasha in 2020. So I looked back and I thought, are these 20 years exactly the same for me? Are these the big broad themes that happen? And then I realized that, no, it's not the case, right? It's not the case. There were certain years that were not good. There were certain years that were really good. There were certain years that were just not good at all, right? So why is that? Now that brings me to my next thing. In a Mahadasha, there is an antardasha, okay? Now say you have Mahadasha. Under that, you have antardasha. So you're running a Venus Mahadasha, but then in Venus Mahadasha, you'll run antardasha. Antardasha is like main time period Venus, but within Venus, you'll have the time periods of the planets. For example, you can be doing a Venus Mahadasha, Jupiter antardasha. So in this case, Venus will still be highlighted, but Jupiter will be highlighted. Now this Jupiter will add or subtract from your Mahadasha. It can add good things or it can subtract good things, right? So it will bring its own themes, and this will depend on where Jupiter is in your chart, which sign, which aspects, all that stuff. So that will change the theme. Now there are levels of this. Mahadasha 1 level, antardasha 2 level, 3, 4, 5, right? So you can see how that thing of 20 years being exactly the same is not there. You have Venus 20 years, but you can have Jupiter there for a few months. Then you can have another planet for a few weeks. Then you can have another planet for a few days, and another planet for even a smaller number of days, right? So that's just an example of how the Mahadasha works, right? 20 years, few months, few weeks, few days, lesser days, and that can change up what's going on. So it's not just the Mahadasha. Yes, that's the overarching theme, right? But the Antardasha is important too. So that was the video on Mahadasha. I hope it was useful in some way. I hope you enjoyed it, and do subscribe to this channel, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.